part of your show? You want me to start recording?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'm getting some hot vlog footage. All right, that's working. All right. Oh, nice, I can see my slides. Okay. So now I'll see where I actually set that live stream up. All right, it makes the most sense for me to sit here, I think. I'll move this over. I'm on mic 3. All right, we got it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this extension of the Collecting 101 panel series. Went on hiatus, briefly. Had a lot of time to think about things, a lot of time to get in tune, a lot of time to self-reflect. Turns out I really like the color purple. And did a little bit of thinking, thought, how do we get back into this? And what better way to get back into the mindset of collecting, the psychology of it, than how to get rich in 5 steps. Now, I gotta get a little bit unmundane. I'm as myself right now. I'm a little nervous because I haven't talked to people for a while, so I gotta get a little bit rich here. Much better. So. Oh yeah, by the way, I rock only the best brands. It says Spreem, in case you can't see it. Now, wealth. What is wealth? Wealth measures the value of all the assets of worth owned by a person, community, company, or country. The accumulation of scarce resources. This is the definition found when you Google what is wealth. Word for word. For example, examples of wealth. There's power. There is a wealth of glory. And of course, joy. Now, step 1, assess. Assess what you like. You gotta have a basis, right, from where you start from. We are going to cycle back a little bit into some things I've talked about at Why Do We Enjoy the Toy and other such panels that I'm putting under this little banner. So think about, what it is you actually like. Because on a very basic level, it's like, I like toys, but you don't buy all of them, I assume. So there's going to be certain branches on the tree that you enjoy the most. And assess how you like it. Again, it's kind of hard, nigh physically impossible to enjoy literally everything. So figuring out how you enjoy things, and by that I mean, do you enjoy Funkos? Do you enjoy statues? Do you enjoy shelf pieces? Do you enjoy things that you can play with your hands? Stuff like that. Kind of getting onto that second layer of the onion of who you are as a toy collector. And then you think about where you like it. By which I mean, do you just like having things on your desk? Do you like having things on a shelf? Do you like having things in specifically a photographable display that you can use to get some hot Instagram clout every time you take photos of it? And do you invest in that? Do you put LEDs and things and you do all that stuff I don't know how to do, which makes me get a little bit resentful every time people take really pretty shelf photos with multicolored LED lights going in the background. And then you think about why you like it. And this was kind of the crux of an entire couple of panels I've done. So I'm not going to go over all of it again, but it's kind of the idea, to put it very simply and quickly, of someone who enjoys 1/6 scale collectible that has a sort of a limited posing lifespan versus a kid's transformer that you can literally transform and smack into another toy and make a thing flip out hundreds of times in perpetuity. Those are extremes, but that's kind of what I mean by the why of why you enjoy things. Again, all thinking about a step beyond, I like it because I'm a Transformers fan, or I like it because I'm a toy fan, and kind of thinking about the more personal side of it. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Oh, no, just gotta wait. What, how, where, why? Oh, funny. Real funny. Some joker got my slides. Step number 2, take stock. Stocks are the root of all riches. And by take stock, I mean take stock in how much you've got. It's a real simple thing to say, which is like how many toys you got. But especially in the last year and a half, it's really easy to lose track. Like when a lot of your toy buying has potentially been through online ordering and pre-orders, sometimes things you've paid in advance for, it's easy to lose track over time. And that like at some point, 8 months in, you're like, wait a second, why don't I have room anywhere for this new shipment that came in? This hasn't been a problem. And you realize it's because all those other previous 7 shipments that came in were going somewhere else. So the enjoyment of your stuff has a lot of connectivity with knowing what you have. It can actually kind of go both ways, but I don't want to set up the reward system I set up for myself of like, no, it's great when I don't know where things are, because then when I find them, it's like I got them new again. And take stock in how many different sub-collections you have. Now you might have noticed a pattern here of like we're kind of focusing inwards and figuring out what we have. Like kind of the crux of these 5 steps is based on working with what you got already as your basis. And what I mean by sub-collections is Transformers being a really easy one. It is really easy to say, oh, I just buy Transformers. And that can mean many, many things. Especially with the number of, just to throw back to that last panel we had, licensed third-party things out there. Super 7 Ultimates, Funko Pops, and Kuro Karakuri pieces. If you pick up, oh, I really like Tarn, I'll get the really expensive Tarn, and then turns out you bought like 3 of that line, and you go like, oh, that collection means something every time I get one of those. I should be thinking about that some more. And also take stock in how many different interests you have. And this sort of goes a little bit outside of the genre that we're basing out of, but usually, even if you don't think you do, you have more than one interest. I've sometimes had trouble kind of recognizing that, but with the last amount of time we've had, and I alluded to this a few hours ago, when I had the scarf on the inside and I was more humble, so I will be louder this time. I got way deeper into that tabletop gaming in the last year and a half. I picked up a couple miniatures game systems that are not Games Workshop, thank goodness. So just to get right on top of the whole thing of like, no, I'm not broke. But still, it's really easy to buy a lot of Infinity. It's really easy to start thinking you want to buy a lot of BattleTech. It's really easy to look at Games Workshop and think, oh, Kill Team's a really easy game. You just buy like 8 figures, but you do it like 14 times. So it's good at times like to think about like, I enjoy this one thing a lot. This is what I consider myself a collector of. But do I have other interests that are like, they're on this level? Like I don't really like go to forums for stuff, but like it's still something to keep track of. If not just to like take stock in how many different sources of enjoyment you have and how many outs you have if one starts to lose you over another. And take stock in how much time you spend with collecting. And by that I mean a lot of things. Not just like going on the internet and talking to collectors or putting in pre-orders, but like if you're out toy hunting, which is becoming more and more viable for folks, especially you super rich folks who have cars, etc. The amount of time you spend on your collecting needs to have value to you as well, I think. And if you don't have to see it as a bad thing, but if you don't think about it at all, you can start thinking like, man, why is collecting so tiring? You don't have to spend less time on it, but if you just recognize how much time is related to it outside of the obvious stuff, it can make it a little bit more fun, or it can help you adjust to make it more fun for you. Anyway, step 3. Think! Step 4. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. That's not all that's on the... Right, okay. I wasn't actually sure if that was what was all on the slide. But think about the stories of your collection. And this is, again, multifaceted. I can't remember if I have a subpoint to this one. Yes, I do. So the stories of your collection can be a lot of things. The strange places you got them from, convention exclusives, things that you found while you were on a holiday, which ostensibly your holiday probably wasn't a 100% toy collecting focused holiday, but if you found something out there, it creates a story about that piece. The long journeys that paid off or didn't. I think that there are some things that we have great hunt stories about. There are also things we have where the story about them is how we couldn't find it anywhere, and so then we just went and spent an extra $30 on eBay to get the thing. And all of these things create stories that exist beneath the objects that we kind of just look at quickly as like, that's the collection. There are to get a little corny, there can be tapestries flowing out of your shelf. If you just sort of look at it and remember what those pieces represent. The friends you made along the way. What better thing to say at a convention with people here. And to really make it focus on toys, sometimes it's fun to look at a figure and think, why did I buy that? Oh, that's right. Buddy convinced me in the heat of the moment at that show that I should get it. And I didn't even get off the plane before I realized, wait, I don't want this. Or vice versa, obviously. It's just funnier to say the angry one. That's what gets the old humorous equivalent, as they say. And in all of this, walk the edge of sentimentality. I think I'm really careful about being sentimental because I am the precise mind type where sentimentality, combined with, aforementioned a few hours ago, habits like depression clutter, means that I can have stacks of paperwork that I look at and go like, oh, that was paperwork from film school. Oh, I remember filling out that form. I'm just going to put it back into this folder again. I can't get it. It's really, really, really awful. But it's easy to think about how sentimentality can lead to that and glaze right past the values that sentimentality can have, especially when it's like under control. And that's what these stories are, is when you look at what you've got and you see all this extra just value of tales and stories coming off the shelf. I think that it balloons what a collection can mean if you spend a weekend doing. If you get tremendously high and just sit down cross-legged in front of your shelf, that's a different panel I'm going to be doing. I kind of go into it here on this note. Sentimentality without necessarily creating the object physical bonds of sentimentality. So this is going into an idea of we're going to build value and stories out of what we have without cementing the physical objects to those stories. This takes us to step 4, bookkeeping. Yeah, that's right, there's a picture. I looked that up on Google image search all by myself. It took me a little bit because the first one came out as a .webm and I just couldn't load that into this software I'm using to make the presentation. I had to screen cap some of these with Control-Alt-4. Those are big 2 megabyte JPEGs. Go me. Bookkeeping, make records of those memories. And I don't mean you have to be like a hardcore, meticulous person about this, but eventually, again, as a way to spend some idle time with what you have, taking photos of your collection is making records of those memories. Making videos of your collection is making records of those memories, and writing, something that, is not valued as much online anymore, partly thanks to Facebook. Writing photos and videos, making media, or just even writing a few notes down. Take a photo of a shelf. I'm sure there's some kind of software out there. Take a photo of a shelf, tag a few spots on the shelf, and have a little bullet point attached to each of those tags. Again, just making the storytelling value of what you have come out of what is already there, and renew the joy of the new. What I mean by this is that when you take something down to take photos or videos especially, or you mess with it to write something about it, it's no longer just existing on your shelf. You're handling it again. And you're renewing almost your contract with that piece of your collection, like whether or not it still resonates, or whether or not it's a 2010s era SH Figuarts and the legs fall off because the hip joint assembly has crumbled to dust. That's a joke for all the Figuarts collectors out there who got in when I got in. It's a bummer. And they still are making third-party replacement hip joints, and I don't understand why. There's a whole SH Figuarts third-party company that makes little bits and pieces. Anyway. Cycle your shelves. This is something I've been meaning to do for 10 years, and I still haven't, but the idea is, and not everyone has to do this, obviously. This is kind of my go-to footnote. Not everyone has to do this, but when you look at the idea of this is my shelf, everything has a place on my shelf, and that the shelf itself is like layers of wet concrete that are sacrosanct and they dry around the feet of the toys that you put on it. I really like the idea of a shelf that is not your whole collection, it's what excites you at the moment. It's a scene or something, and that you maybe have not a set timeline, but a sort of soft cycle of when you're like, oh, it's time, I want to pull these down, I want to go through what's not on the shelf and figure out what I want to put on that shelf. I want to make a new little scene to put up there. I'm really good at pushing this button 80% of the way. That's 100%. Revisit and renew tactile connections. That's kind of what I went into when I showed the renew the joy of the new thing. But especially if you are like me and you really like to mess with the things that you own, taking them down, taking them out of a storage box, messing with them again is like a check-in. You revisit it, and in my case, unfortunately, I often just renew those tactile connections and I put it back into storage or on the shelf and I don't get rid of it. But all of these things, again, bring more value out of what you own. There's that previous step, you remember and you make manifest in a way the stories that are within your collection. And then in here, as you make records of those stories, you also renew your hands-on connections with some of those pieces. Obviously, that's not going to be the case for stuff like statues or, after a while, stuff like hot toys, but nonetheless, it's relevant, especially to Transformers. Also, I don't know, dust them, I guess. Like, that's some silly adult thing they invented a couple years ago when I started living by myself. I don't know, I'm not your mom, you're able to take care of yourself. That was a whole bullet point for the slide, on the slides for the live stream. Step 5, the final step, the gateway to riches, the precipice of wealth. That was an 80% button push right after all that. I should just leave. I should leave. As time passes and as objects come and go, whether you sell them or gift them, whether you keep them or treasure them, the stories, memories, and joys will remain. You are now rich. Your collection can be more than merchandise, once again, if you want it to. I have faced opposition on this point before, and I feel I was too aggressive with it, so I will say, if you just want it to be merch, that's also cool. There are 5 steps. Assessment, taking stock, thinking, making records, and treasuring experiences and memories. You can find wealth within a collection of any size by using those steps. You can be rich with powerful experiences. You can be rich with glorious memories. Remember the Dr. Doom pictures earlier? You can be rich with the joy of collecting. Now get out there and experience joy! Now I know I kind of went into this and I didn't leave much room for Q&A. So obviously I know that like Matt introduced this, right? He said this is how you're gonna get rich. You're gonna make lots of joy, right? That's what he introduced this panel as. Because I wasn't too sure. I was setting up the laptop over there, and like I thought for a second he said something about money. Like none of you guys thought this was about money, right? Wait, I saw a hand go up. You thought this was a. How much time do I have left? Half an. All right, I was kind of planning about this being a 35-minute. Okay. Luckily, I'm so rich with joy that I'm able to edit the slides from over here. So let's get a new one up here. Rich, money, get lots, and you'll be rich with money. If you buy low and sell high, because if you get it low, you spend less, and then when you sell it high, you've made what's called a profit, which is where you have more money than you started with. And then the digital frontier is a wide open. It's like the information Wild West. It's a fantastic place where there's limitless opportunity. All you gotta do is get in under the bubble. What's it called? The dot. Be the dot on the dot bubble, and then you're gonna make so much rich that you're gonna have a whole lot of monies, and your clout on clout. You're gonna get followers. You're rich with followers. Misha's where's Misha? Misha's not here this year, is she? I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna click to exit presentation. And that was a bit I was going to do at the end because I thought this presentation was going to take me a lot longer to do. So I was really excited about this whole thing of this last minute scramble. And then like someone comes in and goes like, "Oh, we got to go to the next panel now." But there was no next panel. So actually, if there is any like Like, any thoughts bouncing off this? I see a tie-dyed wrist-banded hand over in the back.
Q&A question, sir.
What, you there, young lad?
Yes, my question, sir, is I think it takes too long to get rich in 5 steps. Can you please clarify how to get rich in 3 steps instead?
Absolutely. Step 1. Now, we all wear, generally in the winter, socks. All right, step 2. Usually, we have more socks than we need to wear, so we have extras, right? So step 3, you take that sock and you fill it with a lot of little but collectively heavy objects. This forms what's called a blunt weapon. And you use that to make as much money as you could ever dream of, as long as you are A, fast, and B, not arrested or caught. I hope that cleared things up. I'm speaking from a lot of salt-of-the-earth experience here.
Thank you, it helps a lot, thank you.
I got a question. Oh, there's 2 there, but you raised a left arm and a right arm, which made you very briefly look conjoined. So I'm going to go with Red Mask first.
Okay. Where did you get the Scream shirt?
I got this 2 years ago at either a TFcon or a toy show. I don't remember who I got it from, but I believe that they have them online. I just can't remember where. Which is probably the least helpful answer I could have possibly given you.
I am in that Discord server, so if you remember, can you post it there, please?
Yes, or if anyone remembers who was selling the Scream shirts, because I know that I saw a booth that had these once, but I got mine online. I have to go into my Outlook and look up Scream, and it'll tell me like which t-shirt company it was from.
Cool, thank you.
All right, and from your other half over there.
Yes, on the left side is the Dragon Twin, just to confirm. Are you sponsored by the Latvian government?
I have never heard of Latvia.
Oh, okay. It's Latveria. You're thinking of Latveria. Oh, Latveria. Latvian government.
I have never heard of Latveria, and I certainly have absolutely no opinion on the glorious leadership of Victor von Doom. Yes, there, with your hand up.
Yes, I'm even more impatient. How do I get rich in 1 step?
Well, that's oddly simple, and a lot of people don't think about this, is you just write your name on it. We all can buy permanent markers at your local corner store. That's a $1 investment for a, what, like at least $100 bridge? I don't know how much bridges cost to make, but it's got to be more than 10 bucks. Oh, we got a question from Santa Claus.
Have you ever considered getting rich by just digging up the body of someone named Richard?
Well, I got a funny story about that. I used to have a lot of friends named Richard, and I got tired of the process taking so long. So going back to that first question about the sock thing, it turns out that there is a finite number of people named Richard who will hang around you until a pattern emerges and they can see it. Like you'd think that those dicks would not catch on to what's happening, but no. Then they all flee away because they're a bunch of cowards who don't understand the meaning of wealth, as I laid out clearly in that slide from Google definitions. I'm glad I got that off my chest. So thank you all for coming out to this late night panel. Like, granted, I didn't want to say the thing, but I'll say it. What else were you gonna do? It's after 9 o'clock. Your parents are gonna tell you to go to bed if you go home. You gotta stay out at the cool, get-rich panel. But I hope you all have a really good time over the weekend. One little self-plug and a half. On Sunday morning, there is a panel about Best Transformers Villain. That is not my panel, but I am merely participating in it, therefore, it gets shill time! There might be at least 1 or more people in the audience who are also participating in that panel and maybe waving their arms around. They might even be right behind you, I don't know. And then later that afternoon, there will be another panel, which is the good old-fashioned fan media panel, which I wanted to bring back again because it's been so long. I wanted to go back to some basics. So that panel, I will be teaching you how to make a video review in 90 minutes, but in 30 minutes, but it is a 60-minute panel. That last bit didn't make it onto the event schedule because I think that the title was too long, and also there's no room for footnotes on that schedule, but speaking of someone who's had a lot of trouble actually doing anything constructive for the last year and a half, the times that I have been able to make media happen kind of gave me a few little epiphanies just about like mental process, and I want to try to share that. But also, there's a funny bit where I pre-recorded the postability segment, and then the me that's doing the postability segment is speaking to you, the audience, but from 4 in the morning, about 15 hours ago. Is that around 12 plus 5? 17 hours ago. And makes fun of me, so that's going to be a funny bit. I haven't actually made the slides for that yet, but I got a whole day. Otherwise, go forth, enjoy. I don't know what the after party is, but hit that up if you want to, or whatever you want to do. Have a good Saturday, have a good Sunday, stay safe. Now there's more people in the room. I'll say the bit again. When I was crossing the street to come to this hotel a couple hours ago, I was thinking in my head that line from the G1 movie, the 86 movie, where Ultra Magnus is like, "You're all alive," and I was like, that's running through my head over and over again as I'm crossing the street, thinking about all of your lovely faces and eyebrow structures. And also thank you to the tech team for accommodating my unforeseen twist at the end. Just giving me the best look, just the best look. I have nothing else to say. I just like talking to you all. This happens whenever I'm doing podcasts now. I noticed that I was getting very weird in podcast recordings over the pandemic because I was so clingy for contact. They would just keep going and going after we stopped recording. I'd just be like, "So Aaron, tell me about your car. Tell me about the tires you bought. Are they rubberized? Oh, you have to go eat? That's okay. I'll be here." Anyway, that's what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna clean all this up. But I love you all too. It's so nice to see all of you again. I gotta turn that off, so I'm gonna do that. Let's see what the chat said. Oh, hey, Mump says have a wonderful TFcon. Specifically to all of you there.
Give us more!
Give
us more!
Whole lot of people making crypto jokes in the chat. It's kind of the go-to. I couldn't resist, as you saw.